Now this next video is going to take a little bit longer because what we're going to try to do is we're going to create a question pool, a question bank in Instructure that's learning objective based. So for example, I teach accounting, maybe we want them to understand the balance sheet equation. So we'll have one question bank, pool of questions that focus only on understanding the balance sheet equation. And then we might have another one that focuses on the definition of an asset. Another one might focus on debits and credits. Okay, so you get the idea. So we have pools of questions that focus on a given learning objective, and then we can create quizzes that pull from those pools. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. And the way we're going to do this, we'll get back to the home here. And what we want to do is we want to create the question pool first. So we'll go down here until we get down to quizzes. Click on quizzes, and you'll see that there's this option of manage question banks. I'm going to click on manage question banks. You can see I already created this one. I'm going to delete that. Okay, so I'm going to add a question bank. Let's say be able to solve for the missing amount in your balance sheet equation. Maybe that's a learning objective. Okay, so I hit enter. Now that I've got my question bank, let's do another one. Let's say determine the normal balance of an account. Debit, or credit. Okay, so I have two question banks now. So let's get into the first one. And we can add a question. Now you could do something as simple as a true-false. If assets are 10 and liabilities are 2, then equity is 8. True or false? If it's true, you click on true. If the right answer is false, and you got to click on false to show that that's the right answer. And you can also give feedback. Correct. Well done. Okay, so you get the idea, and we update the question. Okay, so that's a question. My question bank. So that's a true false. Let's add another question. As you can see, there's lots of different options. Multiple answers, multiple drop downs. I think if you got in here, it's pretty intuitive. You can learn it on your own. The one that I really like is the formula question, because what this allows me to do is create one question, but every single time a different student accesses the question, they get different numbers. So let's say this. Please compute total liabilities, assuming, then you got to put brackets around your variables, assets, actually I should have to go like this, assets are, and then say asset value, and equity is, and we'll call it equity value, but you can give it any name you want. As soon as you put that second bracket on, then you can see that you've got these variables here. Okay? And you can change these, minimums and maximums, and how many decimal places. And now your formula has to be the solution. And so you need to say asset value minus equity value, and save. Let me try that one more time. I think I might have to put the brackets on it. Just 1 second. Sorry, I had to refresh my memory there. I'm going to go ahead and try that one more time. So asset value minus equity value. Right now you haven't offered any possible combinations. So let's say we want to have 20 different combinations. And you allow a margin of error, for example, plus or minus 1 or whatever number. And let's go ahead and let's save that. And we want to generate. Okay, so what you can do is you can check your work. If you have asset value of 6, equity value of 10, then your liabilities is negative liability. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. But next one, if your assets are 6 and your equity is 5, then you'd have $1 of liabilities. Actually, if this is a negative for liability, you'd probably have to reclassify that to assets. But this is not an accounting class. So anyway, that's what you do. You just in the question stem, any of your variables that you want used in the math you put in brackets, and then down below you use those same words to create the formula, and then you have to generate some possible solutions. If you don't do that, then it's not going to work, and then you can update your question. And so what's going to happen every time someone takes this, they will get different answers. Okay, so that's, I think that's one of the nicest ones. So now that I've created this question bank, what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a quiz that pulls questions from this bank, and that's, we add an item. We want to add a quiz. It's a new quiz. We'll call this balance sheet equation quiz. Hit OK. We have to click on it to now add items. We're going to edit this quiz, and we want to, you can put in your instructions here, but we want to find questions, and they're loading the question banks. Now all these question banks are from my other class, and hopefully my new one here, I'd have to look through all my question banks here. You can see in my other class I've labeled outcome A, and I've got every single outcome labeled, and then I can pull those in. Anyway, you choose the question bank. Oh yeah, I guess I can see the Counting 201 here. So let's see if I can skim through and find this question bank I just barely created. Okay. Anyway, I won't waste your time on that. It's probably too late, but the question bank would be found in here. You choose the bank that you're using, and then the questions appear. You choose which questions you want, and then you add them. Okay, so now you see those questions came up. They're not the ones that I just barely created, but you get the idea. And over here you choose whether you want to shuffle your answers, your time limit. If you want to allow multiple attempts, you can actually limit how many attempts they get, whether they can see their quiz results, and whether you'll allow them to see their correct answers. You can restrict it with passwords, or an IP address. And then what you have to do is you have to save those settings, and then you publish the quiz. Okay, now if you want to get back in, you just go back and edit the quiz. And one thing we didn't show is how many points were possible. So let's say you wanted to edit this, you'd have to get back in, and you can change your points possible here. But hopefully that makes sense. I really like those formula questions because they allow a lot of flexibility. And that's pretty much it on this topic. Aloha.